How's it going, everybody? Today we got an Ohara video. I made big YouTubers create the perfect devil fruit. 40 minutes long. Let's get it.
Asked some of my YouTube friends to come up with the perfect devil fruit that they themselves would really love to eat, starting with some One Piece representation over at Mr. Beast's team,
Yes, sir.
Carl and Nolan.
Carl, you gotta come up with a devil fruit.
Okay, Carl's gonna come up with some crazy shit.
As the resident One Piece fan of Mr. Beast, I actually wrote down a devil fruit idea from a while ago.
I need a name.
Well, I'll do the name last.
I'll do the name last.
It's a devil fruit where it gives you the power. You basically create a big bubble. There's a few devil fruits that already do that.
Okay.
But within the bubble, you alter time. So you could speed up or slow down. But
Time fruit.
The downside is
Wait, isn't it just kind of a little different from Bonnie's?
Tell me, what's its
I
weakness?
mean, Bonnie doesn't make a bubble.
You
but
have muscle fatigue proportionate to the rate of time that you
What?
alter.
Okay.
Nah, bro.
I don't know
Carl.
what to call it, so I called it the chrono fruit.
Now, if there was a character,
We might have to take away Carl's chef license because he did not cook.
that would eat this fruit. If there was a character that would eat this fruit, which one would it be? Which character would eat this fruit?
I'd say maybe Usopp, because he's a little sniper.
Usopp.
Who knows? I don't know.
Bro, I dodged that shit.
Okay.
Back up.
We got it?
All right, Nolan, what about you?
Oh, it's a picture.
Oh, it's picture.
So basically a fruit a little bit like Lost Ope Ope no Mi, but it kind of controls time. I think that's
like kind of Bonnie's,
cool
right? I mean, I get it's
that
cool.
Usopp would be the perfect candidate here because if the awakening lets the user project those bubbles out instead of being around them, well, this fruit could be the ultimate sniper support.
I get it. I get it. I can
Moving
see
on,
it.
let's hear about my good friend Mr. Morge's devil fruit, and I do hate to admit
About
it,
Nolan.
but I think he may just have forgotten about the devil part here, but you'll see what I mean.
The fruit that I would create would be the Jesus devil fruit. This would be, of course, a mythical Zoan type fruit. Now, this fruit should logically exist anyway in the One Piece world, because, as Vegapunk explained, devil fruits are born from what people believe in. And we've seen that in the One Piece universe, people believe in Jesus. Christianity's a big deal there. Kuma always carries around a literal Bible. He grew up in a church. He was a pastor in a church. And it's clearly a Christian church because there's crosses everywhere. So yes, Christianity is a thing in One Piece, so this Jesus devil fruit should exist. And it's probably a lot stronger than the Nika fruit because not that many people believe in Nika at this point, but clearly Christianity is a prominent thing in One Piece. So
I thought he was gonna make a crazy joke. I'm not gonna lie.
Fruit, obviously, its abilities and powers would be Jesus' abilities and powers. I don't really know too much about the Bible, so I don't really know what those would be. Water into wine, I assume giant energy blasts and stuff like that. Weaknesses, I imagine Jesus is probably not supposed to have any weaknesses, so this would be a really good fruit to have. Who I would give it to would probably be Roger, because that way, I don't know, like, Jesus came back to life and stuff, right? So, and Roger was kind of...
I also saw something that said Joy Boy is honestly, like, if they had to describe him, it would be Pirate Jesus.
I feel like Pirate Jesus because he basically died to leave a legacy that sort of changed the world for the better, which is kind of like Jesus' story. You know, Roger gave himself up, allowed himself to be killed on an execution stand, I guess kind of like a cross. I don't know. You see the parallels kind of there. So, Roger eating this fruit,
Okay, I'll rate Carl's fruit, like... I'll be nice. I'll give it a 5 out of 10 because, like, you could honestly go somewhere with a time manipulative fruit, right? This guy's, I'll give it like
I think would fit pretty well.
8 out of 10.
Maybe Roger rises back from the dead or something like that. We get Pirate Jesus back. I think that would be pretty good. So the Jesus devil fruit. That's my pick.
Oh, wow.
7.5, just because we don't really know what it can do.
Actually, that's kind of a really good point, bringing up that
still a good idea for a fruit,
theoretically
though. So
exist. I mean, no surprise that a master theorist like Morge would bring a fruit like that to the table, and I do wonder if turning water to wine would be a sort of loophole to get around the whole no swimming weakness as well in One Piece. Now, what am I even talking about? Because Jesus can't just straight up walk on water, so I think this fruit might just be even more broken than you thought, Morge.
8 out of 10.
Is it more broken than Daniel Green's devil fruit, which is up next?
I have decided to come up with the Strum Bard fruit. It will be a Paramecia type devil fruit, which I imagine.
Okay, and I get an ad. Fuck off.
game.
I'm trying to look at devil fruit.
You're not ready.
Most of the submittees are. They're the most fun to play with. Be embarrassing if I'm wrong about that. And its power is going to be a bit twisted. My favorite devil fruits are the ones that work very well in One Piece, but also could work very well in a horror movie. Nico Robin, fantastic example. Buggy, straight up body horror as a power. And then there's even more like A24-esque type horror ones, or like there's the one that turns you into a bunch of toys. That's terrifying.
That is.
What happened? Sentience, gone. But I like to keep things playful because this is One Piece, so it's important that can also be applied to a good time. And
Bro, he cooked it, wait.
Streamstrum Bard Fruit comes into play. But the actual power of the Streamstrum Bard Fruit is going to be whenever the consumer of said fruit begins to play an instrument, anyone who hears their call, their siren, their lullaby, has a chance to fall under a spell. I really enjoy story.
He hasn't even talked about what it can do yet, and already best fruit out of the last two.
Lines in One Piece where they encounter a devil fruit that begins to affect people differently, and certain people have advantages over it and others disadvantages. So for the Streamstrum Bard Fruit, this specific type of control is going to be, if you like the song, subliminally, its player through lyrics can implant instructions in your brain to be activated at a later time.
So it's kind of like... Well, Brooke's music can already do that. I don't know if that has to do with... Wait, no. I don't know. So it's a mix of, like, Brooke and Dofi.
You heard a little bit of the weakness, though. If you don't like the genre of music, if you're not vibing with the instrument, it's not going to have as great of effect on you. But if it's a one-on-one conversation and the person starts playing a tune on a sitar even, who cares? I don't know, trumpet, kazoo.
I don't know, trumpet.
It is far more likely to affect you because its wielder is going to have some form of innate knowledge of what genre you like. Although if they're wielding a kazoo, pulling off like heavy metal music would be a bit difficult. There's probably someone in One Piece who likes heavy metal. I really like the idea of like a non-canonical one-off, because I understand this is kind of pushing the limits here in some ways, but where the crew arrives at a restaurant and there's some performer in the corner who's been sent as an assassin, and they implant messages within our crew that they end up kind of coming at each other, but they're not sure why, they're losing control, and the mystery builds until they finally realize the lyrics of the song they've been hearing floating in the background are these instructions that are being carried out. Oh my god, but is it too late? There's a big fight happening. Enough messages have been implanted that Zoro's just straight up fighting now Sanji, or no, wait, are they just not getting along? It's hard to tell. As for who to give it to, someone in the control of Cypher Pole, I actually don't think this would be fun to give to a current named character, even in the situation I set up before, them being anonymous, them being someone who could slip through the crowd, maybe even like not fully acknowledged in the narrative if you want to get dark with it. Like we, the reader, can see their lyrics floating in the background, but like the characters never quite figure it out, and there's just this horrible day that something traumatic happens, and this is how Cypher Pole is able to manipulate people at a distance, but maybe our crew are finally the people to figure it out and realize this person has been playing at court politics subtly for ages and influencing world events. It
Yo, that's crazy. Wait,
I like it personally. Yeah, 10 out of 10. Give it to a
11 out of 10.
Give it to someone who could.
I don't think anybody's beating this fruit. I don't know.
Next to you in a crowd,
he could,
and you'd never remember their face. But that is just my devil fruit in Trant. Let me know what you think about it. And now on to the next fruit of devil.
Oh, that's a rad one. Okay, Streamstrum Bard Fruit. I think you may just be the grooviest devil fruit on this entire list. I do wonder if the fruit becomes worse and worse the more time it's used against someone then. Like, I would probably get sick of it after hearing it for a while, but I can still assure you that fruit isn't just a—
Oh, it also kind of like— well, no, because that— the fucking, I hate the dude. Shit, his, like, body is an instrument, and he can, like, control you with his tunes.
One-hit wonder, Daniel. That's a absolutely funky,
something
great
like
idea.
that.
All right, Joyboy Theories, you're up next. Show us what you've got.
Hey, this is Joyboy Theories here, introducing my devil fruit, the Theory no Mi. I suppose technically it is the conspiracy fruit because I didn't like the way that theory translated into Japanese, so we're calling it the Inbu no Mi. This is a Paramecia class devil fruit which makes somebody the ultimate storyteller, or prophet, or liar, depending on your perspective, I guess. For sure, with this devil fruit you have massive ability to manipulate other people. The primary named attack of this devil fruit is speaking in tongues. It's kind of similar to Pudding's memory manipulation abilities, but rather than targeting memories, you target the truth. Or I guess somebody's opinion on the truth. You know what I mean. Long story short is that if your haki is not up to snuff, using my devil fruit, I can turn you into my ally, or set you on my enemy, or otherwise manipulate you as I see fit. But the weakness of this ability is the stronger your resolve, the stronger your conviction, the harder it is to change your mentality. Like for instance, if I tried to convince you that you are not a person, but in fact a stick, maybe a stick who badly desires to catch fire, I would have a little bit more difficulty. This is definitely a devil fruit which benefits from having a user with a relatively high IQ. Also, I just want to point out that covering your ears does not stop my abilities because it is a beam that goes through you. Kind of like Foxy's slow beam, but you can dodge it. However, the ultimate attack of this devil fruit is called Echo Chamber. With this technique, I conjure a bubble or a room similar to Law's fruit or Corazon's fruit, and I fire my truth beams that reflect in every which direction, amplifying upon each other. Primarily and early on, this only works close range, because I'm limited by the size of the bubble. But as I get stronger and the bubble expands, suddenly we're cooking. The amplification effects of the Echo Chamber are pretty nasty, but not as nasty as this devil fruit's awakening. Once this fruit awakens, you get access to the ability Fake News, which allows the user to change the truth.
I was just about to say, I wonder what the awakening would be.
There are some that speculate that it is this devil fruit which is responsible for the creation of the Void Century, and why nobody seems to remember what happened. Hopefully, once Usopp acquires this devil fruit, he uses it a little bit more heroic.
Okay, and I get an ad in the middle of a very good devil fruit explanation. Fuck off.
I think this is something that me and all theorists out there can get really behind. Honestly, Big News Morgans would really crush it with this fruit.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's the ultimate gaslight.
He already is a menace, bro.
At the same time. And well, why don't we keep that train running and get a girl boss fruit in the mix as well? Emily, what do you got for me?
This is my fruit that I designed. It is the Love fruit, and the type, I don't know what that means. I don't know what types of fruit there are in One Piece. I kind of assumed that they all had something to do with altering your appearance. So I'm going to have you figure that one out for me. But for its power, and the reason why it's heart-shaped is because it allows the user to change their appearance into the form.
I don't know how to say it without butchering it, but Luffy's that, well, the gum fruit, we'll just say that.
Most attractive to the target of their choice. So they can disguise themselves, or they can try manipulating someone by targeting them and transforming into the form that is most attractive to that person. As for its weakness,
isn't it just Hancock's fruit?
Really hard about this one, but I assume it's probably anyone who's aromantic or asexual, because this probably wouldn't do anything for them. And for the best character to eat this fruit, I have no idea.
Hancock.
Because I don't know who all the characters are.
Just
but
Hancock's
I imagine that this fruit would work great against someone who's super thirsty like Sanji, and do absolutely nothing to Luffy, who has...
Okay. I'm assuming Emily has not watched One Piece up to where Hancock is introduced, but... Okay, if she came up with this on her own, that's a good idea, considering Oda put it in himself, right? So I'll give her like a 7 out of 10 if it's that way, but other than that, like, okay, like 2.
Like, from what little knowledge I have of the series, I'm pretty sure Luffy just has no romantic interest towards anyone ever, so this probably wouldn't do anything to him. But yeah, this is my fruit. I'm hoping it doesn't already exist, but if it does, that would make it even funnier. But yeah, that's my fruit. Thank you for having me.
Jesus.
Okay, I cannot even begin to imagine the truly nightmarish power of using this with Boa Hancock's actual fruit. I mean, you kind of wouldn't even need to be the most beautiful person in the world.
Yeah, it's basically a buffed version of Hancock's fruit.
Just use this new Love fruit's power in order to seduce and crush your enemies. So props to Emily, who has actually, in fact, never seen One Piece, and I think this is a really cool ability, one way or the other, that she came up with here. Now, we have covered already a bunch of really fantastic options so far, and I cannot wait for you to see the absolute insanity that some of these YouTubers have actually come up with. And honestly, I'm just having way too much fun with these over here, so let's keep it rolling and see what Drago is bringing to the table for us as well.
Okay, so I'm here, BA, to introduce my devil fruit, and it's called the Adapt No Me.
Okay.
This is obviously a Paramecia type. I think probably the best type. I know Zoans, mythical Zoans, and Logia, they get all the hype, but Paramecia, that's where it's at. Now, the power of this fruit is simple. It's just to adapt. But the thing is, it adapts to anything. Powers, fighting styles, tendencies.
So it's kind of like Maharaga, JJK, yeah?
tendencies, you name it. So if you have a devil fruit, you can adapt to it. If you have a specific fighting style, you adapt to it. So using an example, let's say Aokiji or Kuzan. He is the user of the Hie no Mi, and so he uses chill. Basically, for my devil fruit, as I adapt to him, my powers will start to lean on the side of using heat, basically countering everything he's doing because I'm adapting to his powers. In another instance, if I'm fighting someone like Rayleigh, I'm adapting to his fighting style, his sword techniques, his hockey usage. It's also adapting to styles and tendencies. So for someone like Aokiji, yes, you can get overwhelmed initially. The longer you keep fighting, the more time it gives my ability to adapt. And there's also one thing. Once I adapt, that is always locked in for this specific matchup. And this is where the weakness comes in. Because that's a kind of broken ability, it has to have a significant weakness as well. And that is the slots of adaptation. Starting out, you only have 5 slots of adaptation for tendencies and also for powers. So if I'm fighting against Luffy, Kid, Bonnie, Hawkins, Drake, so those are 5 slots total. So if I want to adapt to Luffy's fighting style and devil fruit power, that's 2 slots. Bonnie's fighting style and devil fruit power, that's 4 slots. So you're really limited in the beginning. Now that's something I gotta keep under wraps because I don't want you to know there is a limitation to how much I can adapt. Now, if you would like to adapt somebody else, you'd have to delete completely all the information you've gathered from a specific matchup. And again, for each character, you can try to adapt their powers and their tendencies, or it could just be either or. Now, that's starting out. As you grow, the slots do increase, and once you awaken your devil fruit, you then have the option of assigning a conduit, meaning a weapon, or something of that nature, whereas as long as you have this weapon, it's unlimited slots, or you have 20 slots total. Again, once you're awakened, you can either have a 20 slot limit, or you assign a conduit, a blade, a gun, something of that nature that you're always fighting with that grants unlimited slots. But if you ever lose that weapon in battle, you will lose all adaptability. So again, it can be really broken, but it does have its limitations, and you have options to pick and choose from. So it's really a very...
But you can change them around, yeah? So you do have those 20, but let's say I have fucking Drake's dog shit ass fucking... I'll just throw that shit away.
Versatile fruit, and depending on the user, it can be insane. This devil fruit would definitely allow for cool moments like unlocking a slot.
Oh, nothing works on this acne.
Hi. Who? I'm a licensed
I get another ad.
In the middle of a battle where I just recorded your devil fruit power. Now I'm trying to adapt to your tendency. And also for awakenings, the devil fruit is automatically awakened once you unlock 20 slots. Then you have the option to get the conduit or continue using the 20 slots with faster adaptability. Very cool power. I would like to see this actually in action because I think it would be insane for Shonen MC. The perfect character, I think, in One Piece to eat this fruit, the best character, I think, would be someone like Kobe. Someone who's dedicated to putting in the work. Someone who's dedicated to being one of the strongest characters. And if he manages to adapt to all of these top tiers in their powers, they would probably have to run away at that point because he has gotten so strong that he's adapted to your tendencies and your powers. Now, if you figure out his conduit, that makes things a bit more difficult, especially if it's a blade or something like that. But I think an ability like that would make things a lot more interesting, a lot more fun, but also at my pinnacle, at my peak, not many people would be able to contest me.
Yo, wait, I think we should just straight up call this the mythical zone type Mahoraga fruit, because
that's what I'm saying.
Adapt power is just beyond awesome. Block, counter, parry, call it the low div fruit if you want to, because that matchup was a piece of cake. How you gonna follow that one up, Jacob from Good Kids?
Hey, this is Jacob from Good Kid, and today the fruit that I'm gonna talk about is called the Gacha no Mi. And this is a Paramecia type fruit, and it gives the user the power to become essentially a gachapon human. What this means is that anything that they touch will turn into a gachapon that they can absorb for later retrieval. So some other powers this includes is virtually unlimited storage. It also, anything that the user turns into a gachapon goes into this like...
This is very, like, situational fruit, I feel like. Obviously, it depends on the person who gets it, too. But at the same time, even if someone, like... I guess, wait, could you store all the ancient weapons inside of it?
Stasis-like state.
And nobody else can get a hold of them?
For example, then they wouldn't age. And then lastly, every time you retrieve a gachapon, there's always a small, rare, super rare chance that it is a super rare gachapon, meaning that it converts whatever you stored inside of it into its best version of itself. So for example, if you ate a pizza, then
and I feel like it'd be trash too if you're like by yourself.
And maybe it's like the most delicious pizza that you've ever eaten. If you consumed another human, then maybe it comes out and that human is like got like the most super powered version of themselves. And maybe the best option is if you stored a devil fruit inside of you, then whoever ate it, if it was a super
5
rare,
out of 10. Not good, not bad.
Pre-awakened or something like that.
Good idea though.
It definitely comes with some drawbacks and weaknesses. Number one, just like every gachapon, the retrieval is random, so you never really know what you're gonna get. Number two, it costs berries, so you have to consume berries in your mouth, and then you get a gachapon. And then number three, the gachapons come out of your stomach, outside of your belly button, which means that you kind of always have to be wearing like a crop top or something, which could just make you look a little bit awkward if that's not your style. Lastly, I guess one thing I didn't think about is that
5 out of 10.
You'd have to live your life always in fear of people chasing those rare gachapons. As for who I think the best character to use this fruit is, I actually think it would be best for some sort of like doctor type character. I guess not Chopper because he's already eaten a fruit, but probably someone like Crocus would actually be really good. Take Roger for example. Roger's sick. Crocus could turn him into a gachapon, consume him, and then wait until he finds a cure for his disease, or finds like maybe like Law with Opi Opi no Mi to cure him or something. Or if you're really desperate and you have to retrieve him, or you retrieve him by accident, then there's always a super rare chance that he comes out and he's already healed. Anyway, that's my idea. Thanks.
Ha! Gotcha.
I'll put 6 out of 10.
That's actually a really cool power. I kind of like having
it,
that random element weaved into it as well, especially with the super rare powers as well. It really kind of captures that gacha game lifestyle, honestly, and I'm sure that Kana would actually love this ability, but he surprisingly did not submit that one, so let's see what you've got in store for us, dude. I'm sure it's super unique, super cool, and super interesting, right?
Manu, I was trying to think about what my devil fruit would be. And I know everyone thinks about like all these amazing powers, and I was thinking about that, and I just wasn't interested in that because I just want my mundane life to be more accessible. I don't really want extravagant powers or the ability to stretch my penis longer, which I
Stop, it's Capcom.
assume Luffy can do. I thought about maybe a devil fruit that allows you to hold your breath underwater longer, but you still can't.
What would that do for me?
Swim.
Yeah, what?
But then I ultimately decided, I thought, what about a devil fruit that allows you to always get one wife? Just no matter when you go to the toilet,
0 out of 10. What are we, Connor? What are we doing?
That's the devil fruit. That's it. You just perfect one wipe every single time. No hesitation about it. You know exactly how much toilet roll you're gonna need. One wipe.
And I get another ad, bro. I'm trying to learn about the
build custom industrial machines in day.
It's clean. It's done. I think this is a great idea. That is the One Piece.
That is the
one piece of toilet roll. Oh shit!
Yo.
I guess I thought maybe you were gonna go a bit crazier with this. I mean, one wipe is cool, I guess. Could also just get a bidet in the worst case. I guess not all devil fruits can be absolute winners, or maybe this is actually the most broken fruit out there, and we just all haven't realized it yet. Let me know what you think in the comments. Otherwise, I'm really curious what Dogen came up for this as well.
僕が新しいデビルフルーツを作るとしたら、僕は集中の実を作ります。タイプはパラメシアで、
A lot of them are paramecia.
どういう力を与えるかというと、その食べた人が
Have all of them been paramecia?
スマホを使っているときに SNS をチェックしたいっていう気持ちをなんとなくします。
What would that do for somebody in One Piece?
すごくないですか？でまあもちろんワンピースの世界においてはスマホが存在しないんですけれども、まあ誰かにあげるとしたらやはり、ルフィの方がふさわしいんじゃないかなと思います。まあなんでかというとその敵の海賊と戦っているときにスマホ、ツイッターとか、まあ、X をチェックする。
That would 0 out of 10. That would ruin Luffy's character so much. We all love Luffy because of how stupid and like just not giving a fuck he is.
Wow. I mean,
I feel like that would take it away from him.
Everyone needs, well, except my audience, of course. You guys can check your smartphones to watch my videos, so you better not eat that fruit, right? But for real though, a fruit that helps you lock in would be a super useful ability, especially for characters with insane hockey. So try and follow that one up, Sydney.
Hey, Emmanuel. It's me, Sydney, aka Sid Snap. Sorry, I look like shit right now. I just had a facial done, and I'm not putting on makeup. And also, I've delayed this.
Don't ever say that again.
Long enough, so I'm just gonna do without it. So my devil fruit is going to be called the Awooga fruit. The Awooga fruit. And the type is, and listen, I've not really read much of One Piece, not really interacted with it besides when I was younger. So I didn't really know there was types. So I had to look this up, and I think this is correct. The Paramecia type. Its power is, and I'm very unoriginal and incredibly immature. So essentially, when you eat it, you just grow really big titties, like super big, like gigantic, like the size of this fucking room. Like it's literally like the size of a building, a massive tit. And and its perks are, you know, you can use it in a fight. Like essentially, you just bite into the fruit in the fight. Bam! Everybody's flying everywhere, and this whole titty, it's just a fucking mass of titties.
It kills Sanji though.
Everywhere, it's like the whole city's destroyed. And it's a really good way to just suddenly have like pounce. You're losing the battle, then suddenly nobody's winning. You know, just you're there. It's also really good for floating in water. If you are drowning, think again, bitch. You got tits. No. I would.
That won't work. Wait, would it?
I usually say this is too degenerate. I was thinking of maybe going a bit more less this, but you did say to go as far as my mind would take me, which is this. Honestly, it's not that very far. And I would also say this is like too degen for One Piece. But I also saw some stuff where they were doing stuff with like the characters' balls. So if anything, I think this could be canon. Its one weakness is, well, essentially you're a big mass of like fat during a battle.
I was thinking earlier, couldn't Luffy do this?
Recover from that literal flesh explosion. You know, you're in some issues. It only lasts like 5 minutes, but that's 5 minutes people can recover. Like, yeah, you might have been like, you might have caused a Chernobyl of like human flesh, but that lasts like, yeah, not very long. It depends on how much people will bounce back, you know?
I didn't think about the destruction part of it. 3 out of 10.
How fat are they? Are they gonna bounce back? You know, you're literally just bazunga fat. If we're gonna be more fight-y-lytical, I would say maybe if somebody put something like inside the nipple, you would explode yourself, like the titties would explode, and you'd be hurt.
What are we talking about? It's supposed to be Devil Fruits videos. I'm watching the right video, right?
Main character energy. It's giving Naruto no butthole no jutsu. But I'm gonna go on a limb here. I'm gonna give a little. It's not even a dark horse, a wild card even. I'm gonna say Zoro, just because.
Zoro.
Zoro's chest is already very broad.
Leave my boy alone.
The house on that chest. I feel like his chest hair I could twine into a beautiful scarf. So I would really love to actually see him with really massive breasts. I would like that. I am saying Zoro.
I mean, Zoro as a woman is pretty hot, but we're not talking about that.
Draw Zoro with tits, please. Please draw Zoro with tits. Anyway, thank you. Emmanuel, excited for the final product.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine in the world of One Piece particularly, not many women are gonna need this fruit. I mean, Oda made sure of that one thing in particular, but hey, a great idea is more than welcome, and I, for one, support everything that Sydney just said, and you can quote me on exactly that.
I get it, bro, I get an ad after every Devil Fruit, I swear. Fuck off, what is this?
And with that one covered now, let's move on to Datus' one, who's got something a little bit freaky, if you catch my drift here.
Hello, I am Datus, a animator on YouTube, and I like One Piece. I am reading it, and I'm at the start of Wano. Anyways, here's my fruit. I drew it. It's called the Tenta fruit.
Oh no.
Okay, because you know I'm all about squids. So
actually, wait, no, he might be cooking. Hold on.
Fruit is a Paramecia fruit.
Wouldn't it be zoning?
I don't. Sorry if I butchered that. I read the manga. I don't know the anime. Anyways, it's a fruit. Okay, so when you bite into it, it kind of tastes like the devil fruit and all that stuff. It doesn't taste like yummy raw squid. Okay. Anyways, yeah, if you eat it, it transforms any body part into tentacles.
Wouldn't that be zone?
It can spawn tentacles out of wounds. Let's say you got like a cut, on your arm. Woo! There's like 3 tentacles that come out of your wound, and then you could be cut in half and then regen. Like the tentacles come in. They start like you know.
Hold on, wait. He cooking
enough anime. Come on. And then tentacles can multiply and stretch.
Can I
said like 4 or 5
do it
come out of your mouth, like if
at
you
will, or
to.
is it just
suction cups?
Tentacles come out whenever the fuck they want.
They are very powerful. If you get one of those suckers on your skin, well, you can't move. You're probably attached to a tentacle
6.5
for
out of
the
10.
rest of time, unless you're pretty powerful yourself. Although it's squid type and
Waken might be pretty
squid themed, it still does not work underwater. I want to make sure that the rules of One Piece are still applied, and I don't want this too OP, because I think if you can use it underwater, that's an OP devil fruit. Okay. Anyways, thank you. Bye.
Okay.
6.5 out of 10.
So many inappropriate comments about this one, but I'll just leave it at this fruit rules. What a clever way to use all the various aspects of a tentacle, I guess. Especially the regeneration part and the suction cups. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
Plus,
cool.
I guess you can just straight up call Cthulhu on someone you don't like. Now, we are basically at the halfway point now, and I do know that my good friend
Is it going to be
Sophie
as
is just
strong as Cthulhu,
gonna
though?
keep this
He just said he doesn't want to make it too
cool
OP.
idea as well.
Drink your water.
The Sake no Mi, a special Paramecia devil
Zoro's
fruit that
fruit.
allows you to create, control, and transform into alcohol at will. The
Zoro's
uses
fruit.
of this devil fruit is endless. You could spray large quantities of this liquid onto your enemies, forcibly turn them drunk, cause alcohol poisoning, or even just create a slippery surface so that you can just stand back and laugh as they fall. Ha 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 ha. If it was squirted into someone's eye, it would be quite painful. And if you decided to use your powers
7
alongside
out of 10.
fire, that would certainly have a particularly raging effect. You could also use your powers
7.5
for
out
good,
of 10.
such as using
Wait, no,
alcohol to
she cooking.
cleanse wounds, thereby playing a medicinal role, or you could even use it just to have a good time. As a devil fruit, it would bring about all the standard weaknesses associated with a devil fruit, but a particular drawback would be similar to the Doku
You're always
no Mi,
drunk.
because the user of the Sake no Mi would continually ingest and consume alcohol themselves. And although they would be immune to the long-term effects of the fruit, such as liver damage, high blood sugar, and all the other diseases, they still wouldn't be able to process the substance 100% without it affecting their brain, meaning that the user would get more and more inebriated the more they use the fruit. And so, all things considered, I think that the perfect host for
Zoro.
this devil fruit would be none other than our Straw Hat Navigator Nami. As
Nami.
a shrewd and cunning, foxy little lady, I think Nami would
Nami
be
did
able
kind
to
of pop
come
in my
up
head
with
too,
great
but-
and unique ways to use her abilities. For example, I could imagine she uses it as a bargaining tool, trading liquor for favors, or maybe
Yeah.
she could even start her own little side hustle for extra money. She's not the Straw Hat's strongest fighter, so this should help her
Bro,
in
Nami
combat
is the strongest on the crew.
situations.
I will
And it
not
should also
stand for
strengthen her
Nami
pairing
slander.
with Usopp during fight scenarios, which is something we know Oda does like to do, because imagine with her alcohol and his flame star, they would be quite the fiery duo. She could also play nurse at Chopper's side, sterilizing victims while Chopper does his thing. And we've also seen that Nami has quite a high tolerance to booze, so I think she's naturally
Do I up it to 8 out of
suited
10?
to the weaknesses of this devil fruit.
8 out of 10.
But equally, I think it would be hilarious to watch her get drunk, because Nami tends to be the strict one out of the crew, especially when it comes to Luffy. So I would love to watch her just let loose so that we can witness all the crazy shenanigans that the Straw Hats would
Also, W Sanchi versus Zoro in the back.
get into. Not to mention the love triangle that would ensue between Nami, our booze fanatic, and our sommelier. Drama!
A special Paramecia? Oh yeah, an alcohol fruit? You might have as well just made the human fruit model frat boy. I do kind of wonder if you could make Binks' sake. Alright, before I sit here with this devil fruit and have a crazy bender, AJ, reel us back in please.
Hello, my name's Alexander, or AJ if you don't know me, and I've spent the better part of 2 years, more than 2 years at this point, documenting and streaming my reaction and experience with every chapter of One Piece until this point where I'm almost caught up. If I were to come up with a devil fruit, it would be named the point of view fruit, shortened to POV fruit, or POV fruit, I think would be the best way to go about it. It would be a Paramecia type, and selfishly, I would love what this would do. I love the fights in One Piece, I really enjoy them, but what I read the story for primarily is the characters and the themes and the payoff and the setting and just the story, the narrative. I'm a big narrative guy, so I love the fights, and I love when fights can tell a story through their narrative, but more so I'm interested in the characters. What it would be able to do is to get you a point of view and to give you a sort of bird's eye view, an internal view on any character in the setting. So you would view it like a sort of fortune teller's ball. So you'd see them, you'd see what they're doing at any given time, you'd be able to see sort of biological and emotional information.
That would be cracked if a villain fucking
like
had this shit.
Rate, psychological state, and what they're feeling, their thoughts. Just very briefly, there are lots of times in the story where I really would love to see the thoughts of...
Like, imagine if Emu had somebody next to them and they had the shit.
Another character that we don't necessarily see. And I don't have a problem with that in the story because Oda's vision is Oda's vision, but sometimes there are points where I'd love to see a certain character and see what they're doing. Now, the weakness of this is sort of more of a Fullmetal Alchemist / Hunter x Hunter equivalent exchange restriction and pledge thing, where it's, if you use this to see where another person is, you have to give up all knowledge of another person in the setting. So you gain additional knowledge for a character that you're interested in, and you lose basically everything for another. You have to forget them.
I mean, that's cool, right? You prioritize one person, and once you get that out of the way, then you move on to somebody else. And I guess you could swap back to that person too, no, right? Because like I said, if Emu has somebody working for them, then, okay, look at one guy, get information, write that shit down, and then go to get somebody else.
Pretty drastic.
No, wait, that'd be, no.
Lemonade, pet,
10 out of 10.
insurance.
What the fuck?
3 words you've probably never heard used together. A drink, your best...
This has no combat ability at all.
No, that shit's
really.
cracked, dude.
It's more intel and strategy, and it could be used for sort of tactical reasons on a crew for a sort of insider character. But yeah, that's me. I would use it, and I would give up the perspective of a character I don't really care about. And
dude, actually, it might kill somebody if they tried using that on Vegapunk.
And I'd learn more about Mihawk or something. That's just a very me fruit. But there is one character I had in mind for this that I think would really get a kick out of it and really use it, and that is Big News Morgans, one of the most underrated and most influential characters in the setting. I think that the way he spins his narrative,
he'd write that shit down
all
too.
manner of information. You know, he has this insane network of vast informants, and he learns about all sorts of things through all sorts of means, but I'm sure there are times in the story where he wishes he knew a bit more, where he could ramp up the propaganda even more and spin his narratives and put them to the forefront even more if he just had a bit more of a perspective, a bit more info about a certain character. Even he must have his blind spots at times, so this sort of thing would give him the means to spin his own propaganda and narratives. That's my type of devil fruit. That's what I'd love in this setting.
Okay, I think this is actually such a lovely fruit. I mean, it really helps someone resonate with them if used for good, but man, if you use this fruit for evil, like, yikes, this is absolutely terrifying. I really like the kind of double-edged nature and the drawbacks that this power has, and I'm kind of curious if my guys over at ABD have something just as deep and introspective with their fruit as well.
The fruit I want more than any other is, of course, the
Anime Balls Deep.
This is a mythical zone god fruit that literally allows the user to take the pen out of Oda's hand for you.
Yo.
In fact, we've already seen this.
Nobody touching Oda's pen, bro. Put that shit down.
Action on the story multiple times. First, we saw the Plot no Mi model Pell. Then we saw the model Pound, and even Plot no Mi Kinemon has shown itself.
Yeah.
But now you might say, ABD, we already know that Pell had the Tori no Mi and Kinemon had the Clothes fruit. What do you mean they had a different devil fruit? Well, you know how just like Luffy, who thought he had the Gum fruit, and then later we come to find out that he had the mythical zone Nika fruit, a same mechanic happens with the Plot no Mi. How else do you explain Kinemon getting sliced in half and surviving, or Pell taking a point blank explosion?
I can explain him getting sliced in half.
That was supposed to destroy an entire city, and somehow he survived. The only answer is the Plot no Mi. Each of these
or Law's fruit, but you know,
literally broke the fourth wall and took Oda's pen to make them.
It's a good idea, right? But at the same time, I'm gonna give it like
themselves survive. However, there is
5
a
out of 10.
weakness to the plot no mi, where if the
5.5 out
manga
of
sales
10.
are down, then your death can be used to boost up the sales. And lastly, a character who would benefit greatly by having the plot no mi is, of course, Eustace Useless Kid. This guy was gassed up to be him since the beginning, okay? But all he has done is take L's in the series. First, he lost his arm against the red-haired pirates. Then, he got thrown in prison by...
Yeah, bro, why he try spinning back on Shanks, bro? You're not getting, bro.
And even in his 2v1 fight against Big Mom, bro contributed maybe like 20%.
Law carried that shit.
So what did he do? Nothing. And finally, when he actually fought Zasnitcha, Shanks himself,
dude, Law and Kid barely won that Big Mom fight. Like, fucking barely, dude.
One attack. You're useless. Imagine the potential of Kid if he had the plot no mi. Like, sky is the limit. He could actually be a contender for the One Piece and not just another fraud. Also, we all know another user of the plot no mi. Dragon, because he's coming to Egghead. Spread the word.
Well, maybe.
Bro! That's like the one Egghead spoiler I didn't know, bro. What are we talking about?
Introspective, but definitely powerful. I mean, who needs theories and YouTube videos when you can just take the pen from Oda himself? Like, why wait to find the One Piece when you can just write it straight into existence? Honestly, I'd absolutely hate to see someone like Blackbeard get a hold of that.
I don't know. Like, it's a good fruit, right? Like, it's actually a good fruit. But I don't like the idea of it. That's why I rated it 5.
Okay. Let's take things back to the sweet and more kind fruits. Minori, please help us out here.
Hi guys, this is Minori, and this is my take on my original Akuma no Mi. So before anything, I was like, what would I want if I were a One Piece character? So I decided to draw myself as a One Piece character. And when I was drawing, I thought to myself, this girl is not going to have like a super scary flashy skill or anything. It's gonna be, you know, something cute and fun. So I thought maybe like a Chibi Chibi no Mi. This is a skill which you can turn anything really small by touching it with your bare hands. So it's definitely a Paramisha kit.
Yo, wait, no. She said... That shit is scary, bro. What?
Similar to Handa Dekken. So you could touch anything with your right hand to make it smaller, and your left hand to cancel the power. With this power, you could touch yourself, other heroes.
It's kind of like Sugar's power. Well, yeah, Sugar's power, like Bonnie's in a sense.
Humans and any random object. You could like basically carry anything in your pockets. Like you could bring a whole house around for shelter.
Yeah, no, villain had this shit. No.
You could like take anything out from your pocket.
Obviously not a main villain, but like a side villain that works for with the main villain. That's a problem.
And when it's time to fight, you can minimize the opponent and kind of like crush them. But like I guess that's also the weakness. So if you're
okay, and I just get. What am I looking at? What is that?
It's really strong. You can't really do much. The Akuma no Mi will probably look like a normal Akuma no Mi, but just like really small, like the size of a blueberry. And the best character to eat this fruit, I would have to say Nami. I mean, with this power, she could basically bring around the ship inside her pockets, and she could also hide around if she wants to. But I don't want Nami to ever eat an Akuma no Mi, so yeah. Anyways, that's it. Bye.
Oh wait, that's so cute. I absolutely love that one. You know me, I love using chibi art, but why settle for just chibi art when I can become the chibi? Also, huge props to that adorable One Piece OC. Plus, the shrinking power is super useful in the hands of the right person. I'm just a bit concerned that Nami might just use it to straight up steal a bank or something.
She could.
That, I guess. But do you smell that? It smells really powerful. It must be our next guest, Chef PK. Paul, tell me what you have been cooking up over there.
If I could pick any devil fruit, it would be called the Gen fruit. Now, that name sounds a little bit strange, but there's a big reason for it. The Gen fruit actually allows you to recover to 110% of your total muscle capacity. Think of this as being able to recover far beyond your normal means. If you're in a massive battle or a huge fight,
like
or even just sparring.
A one-time use every like certain amount of time, or
you can go to the absolute limit.
Like, let's say you can use it once a day or some shit like that, right?
Before death, and you'll recover to 110%
or like once
of
in a
what
life,
you were before. Like, this does two things. Allows for these crazy exponential gains where you just get stronger like a Super Saiyan with every single battle. But if you're lazy and don't push yourself, then the fruit does nothing. Its biggest weakness is that it's dependent on the user. If you have a user who really doesn't want to push themselves,
so somebody like fucking Luffy or Zoro, yeah, that'd be
if you
cracked.
have someone like Zoro who eats a fruit like this, their limit is endless, almost surpassing Luffy even in Gear 5. I can imagine this fruit going to any of the Straw Hats who don't already have one.
8.5 out of 10.
Probably still be Zoro. But if I had to give it to anyone, it would definitely be Zoro. He's someone who likes to push himself beyond his limits, and I think a fruit like this would be insane on him. I could imagine this fruit looking like torn muscle fibers, something that looks like it's constantly regenerating. That is the fruit that I want.
110%. Whoa, talk about a limit-breaking fruit right there. It's exactly like a Dragon Ball Zenkai boost, kind of. I really like the idea that it's pretty much useless if people are lazy. And I also definitely agree that Zoro would just be the perfect choice here. But now that we've gotten a nice and tasty snack from the kitchen, let's make our way over to the library to meet our next guest, Archer, aka the Library of Ohara, who I just get confused with constantly, and I'm sure he feels the same way about that.
We've come to know over time in One Piece how the Warrior of Liberation Nika was a mythical figure of ancient times, who some characters have described as a very literal superhero, one that seemingly came to life in the form of a mythical devil fruit through dreams incarnating in the form of the Hito Hitonomi mythical model Nika. So there's a character that perfectly parallels the idea of Nika being the superhero Sora, Warrior of the Sea, whose name matches identically to that of the Warrior of Liberation, though instead of embodying liberation, he embodies the sea. And there's a whole theory about how the sea itself could be evil, which would feed with Sora embodying world government propaganda, but let's not get into that can of worms right now. What I'm proposing is that if a Nika fruit exists, then what if that could also extend to a Hito Hitonomi mythical model Sora, a mythical type Zoan fruit that allows someone to literally become the superhero of Sora, Warrior of the Sea. This gives them the powers that Sora has, such as his incredibly durable body and the ability to walk on water through his hovering abilities, something that will result particularly useful in trying to avoid falling into the sea, the weakness that all Devil Fruit users share. A Sora user would also be able to fire his Ray of Justice, a laser beam that fries his enemies much like Izaru's. Upon awakening this mythical fruit, the user's clothes would turn a deep blue, just like Sora's uniform, alongside of course the iconic cloud scarf that appears on awakened Zoan users, though this one would be arched to more widely resemble the shape of a seagull's wings. The will of the fruit itself would manifest within the user by manifesting within them a deep sense of heroism and justice, as well as an unflinching loyalty towards the Marines and the government. Unlike someone like Nika, the Sora user would act more cool and collected, like a proper comic book hero, even in contrast to its user's personality. A fitting user for this fruit would be someone like Kobe, though you could argue how Sora has been used for propaganda, something that differs from Kobe's honesty. He's still complicit in working with the government anyway, and Sora is still a figure that has inspired many across the world, which could help Kobe gain more confidence in his own heroism. Though alternatively, most other marine characters in the series would fit in quite well, as similarly Garp would fit in quite well too, allowing them to become the
I feel like it's a bit too late to give Garp a devil fruit at this point in the story.
The embodied ideal of justice, the embodied dream of someone standing up for the weak in their time of need.
Alright, absolutely was expecting a super cool deep cut from you, Archer.
But yeah, no, if young Garp had that
shit, fruit would be really, really awesome. I'm sure that Law would absolutely love this power too. I mean, that dude is such a fanboy, it's not even funny. I also wouldn't be surprised if this fruit actually exists somewhere in the world, or at least if Sora himself is actually real with a fruit that gives him these same powers. And now that we went to the library...
Do we know how many God fruits there are?
It's time to kick back, relax, and listen to
there's your regular fruits, the mythic ones, and God fruits, yeah?
Dungeons and Dragons podcast brought to us by our resident rep artist, my man, Rustage.
Hello, I'm Rustage. I run a One Piece themed Dungeons and Dragons series, so I've made...
Dude, this is a horrible
Bro, I'm trying to...
How do you live like this?
Well, I don't know, Linus. I don't have time to...
They just cut off Rustage just like that.
Many of my own devil fruits, including a bone manipulation fruit, a chess-themed devil fruit where whenever somebody mimes, it happens. But I thought I would love to take the opportunity now to represent one of my favorite fruits in the series, and it was actually a fruit that was eaten by the captain of the player crew, William. It is the Roulette no Mi. It is a paramecia. It's a cherry with like spiral designs on its pattern. The idea behind the roulette no mi, if you couldn't guess from the name, is it spawns a sort of roulette wheel on the arm or wherever. It could be anywhere on the body. It's not an actual physical object. And the user spins it, and wherever it lands will give the user a random devil fruit from all, I guess, in the context of the One Piece world, just like that's thousands upon thousands of different devil fruits this person could randomly get in that moment. And they get it for a short amount of time. How long it lasts for and how many times you can spin the roulette a day really depends on the power of the user and how much training.
Yo, wait. So somebody with like Shanks's hockey, if they had this shit, no, dude, what?
And it was fun seeing it in action because Tekking would have to think on the fly on how to use this new devil fruit ability that he's probably never heard of before in the most effective way possible. In like,
imagine Blackbeard stole this shit.
The 20 minutes or so.
I don't know how
fruit.
Blackbeard's
it
hockey
does have
is,
a lot of glaring weaknesses, obviously, due to its entirely random nature. You could get a terrible devil fruit. Think about any bad devil fruit that could exist. You could get it. And also, if you got an amazing devil fruit like Whitebeard's fruit, you wouldn't have any training with it.
No.
You would be an amateur using that fruit.
But dude, so that doesn't fucking matter, dude. I have fucking Whitebeard's fruit. I can walk on a fucking island and just sink that shit.
Gives it a nice sort of cap with its power level. It's not going to be the most bonkers thing in the world.
Same thing if I get like Aokiji's fruit. I'll just fucking freeze everything. Yeah, I'm not going to know how to use it properly,
the player
but
character William,
I can still fuck shit
was
up.
A great character to have a fruit because he was an avid gambler and
10 out of 10. No, wait, 12 out of 10. Best fruit of the day.
It worked really well in the context of that series. But if I were to choose a canon One Piece character to eat the fruit, it would probably have to be somebody else who enjoys gambling. And I think Paulie from Water 7 was an avid gambler. He lost a lot of his money to gambling, so it might be the sort of thing he would do. Or any of the characters from the film Gold series. I know that's not
it'd be kind of bad, though, if you're in, like, a serious fight. Like, bro, you're fighting another emperor, bro. You're trying to get the fucking One Piece. You spin that shit, and you get, like, fucking Kiyamon's fruit. What the fuck am I gonna do with that?
Anyway, that's my devil fruit. I hope you liked it. Thank you.
I'm staring at fucking Luffy in Gear 5 and okay. Let me change my clothes real quick.
What a broken fruit. Something that absolutely requires the devil's luck to use properly, I guess. I mean, flexibility, adaptation, and creativity would absolutely be needed here. I like that it feels super balanced somewhat despite the absolute godlike powers it could give you, like Luffy's, Whitebeard's, or Kaido's. And it's kind of funny that you bring up gambling in games because my unique devil fruit is actually also sort of based on a fun game. Because that's right, of course I also had to just get in on the fun and create my own devil fruit for this video as well. So may I present to you the card fruit based on my terrible addiction to the card game Magic the Gathering. Basically, using this fruit, the user would be able to create and use blank cards to copy.
You pull that card out of his ass.
And it's kind of funny that you bring up gambling in games because my unique devil fruit is actually also sort of based on a fun game. Because that's right, of course I also had to just get in on the fun and create my own devil fruit for this video as well. So may I present to you the card fruit based on my terrible addiction to the card game Magic the Gathering. Basically, using this fruit, the user would be able to create and use blank cards to copy things from the world. I'm talking about trees, rocks, fireballs, earthquakes, or even people. Once they've copied them, the card would then get stored into
kind of like that one dude on fucking Whole Cake, he had like that book person,
60 card deck. Then
but it's not just Pete, you can take anything.
User wants to activate this power,
like the gacha
would
fruit.
Draw 7 cards like this and would be able to draw an additional card every 1 minute. However, they can only have a maximum hand size of 7 cards at once to keep things more balanced for this specific power. In other words, they would have to either discard a card or select not to draw depending on the situation. Now, of course, the big drawback here is that once they've actually reached 60 cards that they've created, their deck is complete, and to be able to actually continue copying and saving stuff, they'd have to erase previous cards from their decks. That is, of course, unless they awaken that fruit. Once this awesome fruit is awakened, they would gain access to the legendary ability Sideboard, to a card binder that could basically hold way more cards in it than just the regular 60 cards. However, their deck size is still only limited to 60 cards, so if they wanted to switch up abilities and cards, they would have to do it before they use their deck powers again in a fight. So imagine copying Sabo's Flames and just unleashing copies of characters like like Sanji or Zoro against your opponents. Like
yeah,
that
that'd
would
be crazy.
absolutely be super fun to have
10
as
out of 10.
ability. And actually all of these
Still,
powers and fruits were insanely fun. So
best
thanks so much everyone who actually took some time apart to come up with something and send it in for this video. And yes, that also goes for you, Connor. Your fruit somehow was the most creative one in a weird way. And if you want to see 20 even more broken and crazy fruits that should absolutely
that was Ohara. I made big YouTubers create the perfect devil fruits. Go check it out. And of course, thank you for stopping by, and I hope you have a good day.